Hello, happy Sunday afternoon, and the first complete week of Tour to Fleece and the Tour de France is over. We're a third of the way through. Today is not a good day for me. I don't feel very good because I have an extremely sore right knee, which was my surgery knee. I didn't fall, but I lost my balance and, kind of caught myself and twisted it a little bit. And it was okay yesterday after it happened. I thought, okay, I'm going to be all right. And I got up this morning. It was a little stiff, and I was like doing regular stuff today. And about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, it just exploded in pain. And so I have it slathered, really, really slathered with icy hot. And I am going to go through whatever I can on the stream because it's really important to me. This is a challenge day. It was something I've been waiting to show you all. I'm a little unsure how it's going to work too, right? So I'm going to have the patience, and hopefully everything will calm down, relax me too, and maybe my knee will relax a little bit. I'm just not able to walk on it at all right now without a lot of support. So it's not, unfortunately, I'm injured, and I didn't fall off my spinning wheel as they fall off their bikes. But I did kind of do a little acrobatics that I didn't expect to do. And that's not even the right word because my feet didn't leave the floor. Anyway, let's go to the spinning wheel, and I'm gonna need to move this camera a little bit first right off here because I want to show you, and then I'll have to readjust it, these wonderful Karakul locks that I have here. Oops, there went a cane. There we go. They are extraordinary. They're long. Now, if I pull too hard, I can separate some off of that, and I don't want to. So I'm being real gentle with them. And there is a huge handful, and this is half of them. So I have a lot. This fiber came from a farm in Colorado, and the vendor was Karen King on Etsy, and she was a Shave 'em to Save 'em vendor, so I got it as a Shave 'em to Save 'em and for the passport. So I am spinning this yarn for the passport. I bought more than the 4 ounces. All it said was washed Karakul lamb fleece. And, I don't think, yes, I did. I weighed it, and it weighs 7 ounces total, which is not a lot, okay? That was unpicked. And so what has happened is I've gone through and picked out these locks, and then, let's see if I can move this. Sorry about that. I've gone through and weighed out. This was washed, by the way, when I got it. So I keep saying washed, but I weighed out these locks and the other locks. I weighed all the fiber that I had unpicked. Then I went through and I pulled all these locks out, and whatever was left I picked apart a little bit, and I made bats, and I made whatever didn't go well through my drum carder, and a lot of it didn't. It did not like my drum carder very much. Whatever was left over, I have as puffs. Okay, so this is what I mean by a puff. I took this off the drum carder after I got a bat off. The bat is just barely holding together, and This is the bat. The Karakul, this is what it's going to look like because you have so much of this right here, this part of the lock. In other words, in the bat, everything went in there. And this little bit of curl went in there, and this is real soft back here. And you can see the color variation. This is moderately, none of this is next to the skin soft. It's silky soft, like all long wools. It has a feel of silkiness, which makes you want to think soft, but it's still wool, and it's not really next to the skin soft. So it is my plan to spin all of this and just count it as everything that's in there is at least 4 ounces for the requirement for the Shave 'em to Save 'em passport for this Karakul. Now I'm using a method called coreless tail spinning. One of the ways to tail spin a yarn is to have a single already spun and rerun that single going the same direction onto your bobbin, and while you're doing that, just take the cut end of your lock and run it along there and catch it. All right, but it has there has to be a couple things going on. The single has to be pretty loosely spun, and the reason it has to be that way is you're going to be adding more twist, but also before you add a lot of twist, you want that loose single to catch the bottom of this. Well, it's pretty tricky. I tried it. I didn't have a lot of success with it. So I was going on YouTube to look at the videos about how to spin tailspun yarn, and that's something I recommend you do if you have the desire to do this. And the one that I ran across was called coreless, and that means you don't start with a single and run it through. You make your single as you go. And that's basically what I'm going to be talking about and demonstrating and doing over and over and over again. I have, now that I've shown off these locks, and you'll be able to see the individual ones, I am going to move this camera again, so bear with me. And I'm going to put it up here so that you can see pretty much right here. And maybe I need to turn the wheel a little bit. Not sure. Let's move the camera, not the wheel. Sorry, but I really wanted to show you the locks. I think that's about as good as I can get. I would like to get closer, but I think you'll be able to see what's going on. So on this bobbin right here is one of this handful of puff already spun, and it is my intention to use this puff on the front and back of this yarn. When you make this yarn, I mean, you have a start and you have an end, and you're not going to start and end with a lot of the locks in there. It depends on what you want to do with this. If it's an art yarn and you just want to look at it, you can put the locks so close together they look like a sheep fleece, okay? If you want to actually knit with it, it's better to put a little distance between each lock, or a lot of distance between locks, so that it has room to actually have knit stitches, to do one or several knit stitches. So I can't say that this would ever be something that you would do other than knit or crochet with, because you wouldn't want to felt it. You might weave with it carefully, depending on how how well the single is. All right, now I adjusted my wheel like I said I was going to this morning, and it is really, really pulling in, and I'm having a little trouble getting enough twist, because it's pulling it in before I get the twist. I am spinning a very thick single. I am trying to put a pretty reasonable amount of twist in it because this is not going to run again through anything. It is going to be a single that I'm going to try and do something with. I have no idea how I will set this. I did steam 2 skeins of the Navajo Churro lightly spun single, and it turned out wonderful. The steaming worked, but I don't think the steaming is really going to do anything, and especially with all the tails sticking out, it is my feeling that this yarn will not get any further processing. There is usually the problem of lots of active twist with this style of spinning, and as much as I would love to enter it into the state fair for an art yarn, I don't know that I'm going to be able to. The best I can do is put it somewhere, you know, like on my nitty knotty, steam it really good, but keep it on the nitty knotty with some tension on it, so it has tension on it, and hope that that sets it enough that when I take it off the nitty knotty, it's reasonably relaxed. So I am just spinning a real good start of the skein here with the puffs of fiber. I will use the drum carded fiber for the attaching of the locks for 2 reasons. It's a little more processed, so I don't have such a jumble of fibers, and it's not as thick as this jumble of fibers, right? It's a little more consistent diameter, which helps me open it up and use it to lock down the lock. Now the other thing that has to be done, and I'm going to go ahead and spin a little bit more here. I'm going to go ahead and spin another lump or 2 here of this fiber. The other thing that has to be done is the cut end of the lock needs to be opened up so that it will grab. I am hitting this table. That is what's going on. Let me move that. There we go. That was, my treadle was catching on that. So you have to comb the cut end of the lock so that it's fluffed up enough that it will catch to this single that you're spinning for it. I knew when I was adjusting my wheel, I was probably putting that maidenhead up a little bit too much. It will drop, in the routine course of using it some, so I wanted to go ahead and start high, and unfortunately that is just making it incredibly pulling in. Now I'm going to try one more thing while when I spin this next clump. I have it set, what is, let me put this right here. That might decrease the pull in. This should be a reasonably quick yarn to make. On the other hand, there's a lot of stopping and starting, and no, that makes it worse. It's not as jerky though. It does make it worse though. There's a lot of stop and start to it, so yeah, that's part of the problem. It is really winding on the bobbin tight too. This is all the way down. I can here. I did just pop it down a little bit. Maybe that'll help. In of itself, without the tail spun, the little lock spun into it, this yarn is pretty. It's a beautiful cinnamon color, very brown cinnamon, not a lot of red, but it has enough of the lighter color in there to get it very variegated. And of course the locks just are amazing. They're glorious with their color variations and their little curly cues and all of that. The reason I'm doing this is to cover the bobbin completely so that I don't have a lock wrapping down and then a whole bunch of yarn single piling on it. One of the problems with this style of spinning, even though it's really cool yarn, is it's difficult to manage the bobbin with it. Now this real high pull-in is going to be good as far as getting the lock through the orifice, and this particular wheel was made specifically to accommodate art yarns and allow that to happen. So that is a good thing. Alright, let me get my bats and fiber separated here. I am treadling so slow, and yet still trying to get a lot of twist in there. Now, one thing I have seen them recommend, only works on the back end, is to, as you're removing it, just put more fiber there and let the twist run down into it to kind of capture some of that extra twist. But you have to remember that this is what's gonna lock everything in place, and so you don't want it too loose. One more move here. One more move of the slider. It actually feels pretty good on my knee to treadle gently. I know once I stand up, I am just going to have to get off of my knee tomorrow on the rest day and just either ice it and keep it lotioned up with icy hot. We'll see. I'm hoping it's temporary. Well, that made its own little pigtail there. Not a pigtail, but something I can't get out. Let me spin over it. Okay, I am ready to, I'm almost to the end here, move this more into the middle. Now I probably have lots more carded bat fiber than I need. I don't know. You don't use a whole lot. It just depends how much distance I want to put between the locks. And that kind of depends on how the bobbin reacts and how much I can get on. So let's comb some lock ends here. And I'll sit them on my lap so that you can see them. When I comb this, I'm going to get lots of little, where it's really has bound the lock together on the end, and see now you can see that it's very open, and that's what you want. So we get these little bits that go in the trash, and you should be able to see there. Now see, that is almost all, I want to say horsehair. That is just almost all of the coarser part of the lock. There is no soft spot there. That one, actually, I'm going to set aside. That one may not spin into there well. It has to have something to latch onto, like that, like that. And there's a number of the locks that are kind of that way. They don't really have that soft end to them. See how those go. I'm just using a animal grooming tool, probably a dog. I don't think a cat would like it. Okay. So you take roving. Doesn't have to be a bat, it can be any kind of roving. I'm getting my roving from a bat. And you're going to take just a handful, split it, so that you basically have fiber in each hand. And that's because when you attach, and I'm going to take this lock because it's just the prime kind that you can get, attach with all that fuzz on the cut end. So when you are going in your normal direction that you're spinning, you take your lock, and at the point that it is I know it takes some getting set up here. At the point that it is facing towards you, and you just take and you wrap, lay the thing all along what you spun. And this lock was too big for what I spun. We'll get it though. And you are just wrapping that roving in your one hand, and then you flip that lock, get the end, which got spun in there. I told you it's going to be a little bit for me to flip it up towards the orifice, and the other piece of roving covers the core, the lock end, and what you're spinning the same way. It covers the bottom of it. Just like that. And you can just let that lock wrap around, and you can take your roving and continue on and spinning the thing. Now, it is stuck right there. I am going to help it along a little bit. There is tons of twist on there because it got caught, so it just added twist while it was caught, and it's still caught in my, there we go. I'm going to continue spinning some of the stuff in between. Did you guys follow that? Let me get more roving. Piece for one hand, piece for the other hand. Lay the lock facing the orifice. Lay your fiber. This one hand and other hand is not something I can do, but you are core spinning over with that fiber while the lock wraps on, and then take the lock and hold it downward and continue your spinning of your roving. This is going to be very hard to show you anything until I take it off the bobbin. All right, now it's caught right here, but oops, camera isn't showing it. This is the lock, and it's attached, but it's also wrapped a lot, so I need to that one attached, the other one didn't. Okay. Now, like I said, I am putting a lot of distance between the locks. It's just easier to handle. So I'm going to spin just a little bit more here, and I probably need to move my... Alright. Now, let's move this. Let's me pull a little bit out. Give me a little more to work with. There's the lock. And I'm just going to core spin over that lock. Wrap it like that. Flip it up and wrap it some more. Okay. Let's get that lock unwrapped. Feels pretty secure. Let's run it in there. Spin quite a bit more. Pull a little out, and I need to actually do a couple locks here as far as the bottom. Come on, catch. I'm finding I'm having trouble doing top and bottom. It just covers the whole lock when I do it. But that, I am spinning pretty thick. Everything is thick. So that might be, some people are used to spinning thinner. Alright, only half the lock got covered there. I need to cover the other half. It's right there. Let me put some on this side. Hi, all crafty. Forgive me if I don't chat today. I am attempting something that I'm not real good at here. That didn't work at all. Okay. Back up here. I keep trying to switch hands and it just doesn't work. I have to have it fiber supply in my left hand, lock in the right. Okay, I'm going to go through my locks pretty quick here. I did weigh out the locks separately. Piece of paper is currently buried under the bats. Oh. So what I'm doing is just combing through the ends of it so that it opens it up, that it can get caught on that single. I am not combing the tips. I don't want to open the tips up. I want those curls to stay. It develops a little bit of a rhythm. I don't know if you can see that with watching, but I'm putting some distance between first of all, the locks are wrapped around that yarn. I have to unwrap them when I finally do undo them. You know, put them on a nitty knotty or something. But I put some yarn in between, and then there's this motion of just letting keeping the lock out of the way, letting a piece of roving wrap the base of the lock, then let the lock wrap all the way on like that, and go ahead and pull that roving out and continue spinning your single. And this got caught. I can feel it. It won't pull it in. Come on. Why not? So I put some single on, bring a little back out, lay a lock, take a little bit of roving in my other hand. It's not holding the lock. Lay the roving over it and basically coarse spin over that lock, let the lock go, and continue spinning on down into a single. And I got that too thick. One more that I have combed here. How am I doing on my bobbin? Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm not saying by any means that I'm good at this. I know the concept. I need a lot of practice, and that's part of what I'm doing here, is practicing. I have a lot of locks. I have a lot of locks. Now what I'll do after a certain point here, I won't put a whole lot on this bobbin, is just loosen everything and allow me to pull that yarn off of the bobbin and wind it on my plastic knitting knotting. I'm choosing that on purpose so I can steam on it. It looks terrible on the bobbin, but surprisingly, once you get it off and spread those locks out a little bit, it's pretty good. So I've used one bat now. I think I had 4 bats, which actually isn't too bad out of 7 and some ounces, but the whole point is these bats weigh nothing and they're floaty and they're just like all over the place here. Alright, let's take a little bit of that, pull it out here so I have some to work with. Lay my lock, get my wheel going. It'd be really nice if I could do this with just my feet. I'm working on it. Alright, did not get this attached very well. Let's flip this and do this side. Come on, wrap on there. It's not going to want to go through the hook. Yep, that's what I was afraid of. Come on. I think what I'm picking up here is one of the secrets to not have it so thick underneath the lock is to don't keep that bat attached. Just use little pieces of the bat to wrap it and to run down some further single, if that makes any sense. So instead of keeping that attached, take it off. I need more out. And also working nearer the end helps keep it from getting really, really thick. Wrap like that, let the lock go, and pull. That one went real well. So I think that's part of it. Let me spin a little more. It's not all the way in yet. All right. Wrap the base of the lock, flip the lock, and pull and make a single. Come on, wrap the base of the lock. Nope, didn't get wrapped. Nope, that one didn't go as well. Got stuck too. Probably about time for me to go ahead and spin a good ending here. And wrap it off. Although I got an awful lot of locks left here. Let me see if I can get a couple more on. Now, why did I decide to try this instead of just lock spinning? There is a difference between what I'm doing is called tail spun, and lock spinning is where you take your lock and you just start spinning from it like this until the lock is all gone. The reason is because these beautiful tips are pretty coarse and wouldn't really probably feel very good in the yarn. So don't put them in the yarn. Put them outside where they're decorative, I guess is the word. Are you stuck? Did it go? It went. It went. Yep. Can hear it going through the orifice. Look at that bobbin. It's all curly Q. It's all full of curly Qs. Long draw is happening here on this single, because you gotta back away from that lock so much. Anyway, my bobbin's happy right now. I'm not gonna stop and take it off until it becomes unhappy. I'm not messing with it until I have to. Okay. More roving. I am learning. I am just going to take little bits of this in readiness. Are we bored yet? I am thrilled to get this going and basically get this done, right? Because it's the passport thing and I want it done. Come on. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, man. It's not happy here. It's not getting attached. I'm not sure that one's going to be permanent. Alright, that was a piece of hay like a spear. It had a point on it. Good grief. That was major. I'm still digging it out. It's like a whomping big splinter. There we go. Alright, how much did I spend here? Yep, I come out. Don't hold the lock in your hand close to any other fiber. It's not gonna go where you want it to go. Oh, come on, come on. You didn't attach right. There we go. Alright, I am stopping on this. I will put an end on it and take it off the bobbin and repeat what I've been doing here again with the rest of the locks. So I'll just go grab some of these handfuls of things that didn't do well in the bat. I do have one more bat left. I wonder how thin I could spin this. It should spin really thin, being a long wool. It definitely would if the locks were decent. The entire length of the lock, you can spin super thin with when you lock spin. When you not do this with it. I have one more lock. What's this one hanging around for? It's not. It's part of this fiber. It's not really a lock. Compared to everything else, this is like coasting downhill, spinning this without any locks in it. It's probably what I should have done, but oh man, those locks were just gorgeous. They just begged to be used. Alright. I need to watch my end as it goes in here. So I can find it. Alright, here we go. Softly spun. There it goes. Now I know where my end is. Okay. Time to move. See if I can even move this knee. Ooh, just barely. Oh. I promise next Sunday is also going to be a challenge day, and normally Sundays I don't teach, but I'm going to be doing something else different next Sunday too. So bear with me these 2 Sundays while we get through the tour and I get my challenge days taken care of. And hopefully you are picking up something that you find interesting or want to try. Okay, get my knitting out of here. I'm using my plastic one. These things fall off. I'm not even going to count yardage. My goal is to wrap this not overlaying too much. It's going to overlay some, but this is tight quarters. All right, I think I need to move the wheel. Sorry, you're not going to be able to see the wheel now, but maybe you can see the... So if it's just the single, I don't mind it piling up on itself. All right. That should sort of work. Especially if I turn the wheel more this way. And there's the first lock. The goal is to maybe not have the locks hitting over the... There's another lock. And unfortunately that one is kind of hitting the... Doing pretty good. Not hitting the... Now, since I can't get all the locks to hit in the center, what I do is move the... And this is actually pretty much... I shouldn't have put quite this much on the bobbin. I'm almost to the out of the lock part, and then I can wrap close. But what I was saying is this isn't tight enough, so tight that I can't scooch it around this way and get the locks that are up here on the top to the center to work with them. And when I say work with them, that's pretty much what you got to do, is open them up, you know, lay them out, that sort of thing. But yeah, this was pretty much for this one side of a nitty noddy. After I steam it, I will put it on the 2-yard after it dries. That'll display it better. Well, I did a lot at the beginning because I was covering the shaft. Alright, there's the end. And here's my other end. So let's figure out how to tie them together. Yep. Don't put your locks all on the floor. Well, one went anyway. Alright, let me see if I can get this in the camera. And I'm just going to start gently finding the tip of the lock and getting it untwisted. This one unfortunately is on the edge here. This one is a good example. Just untwist it, just like that. Oh, maiden mother Crohn's. Excuse me. Always sneeze in threes. See that tip coming out right there? There's the tip. Alright. I wasn't wanting to unwrap. There we go. Need lots more practice. These are really too loose. Okay, that's all that side. With high K's on coffee with its curly Q's. Now let me flip it. Oh, and I almost took it off the edge here. Let me get that back on. let me do this side. Am I in the camera? Yeah, I'm in the camera. So I'm just going through, and the locks have to wrap around in order to go through the orifice, but really you want them looking like locks, so you have to just untwist them. Oh, that one didn't stay in. See, that's one of those. They don't have a real good bottom, and it didn't stay in. So that lets me know that they don't work very well. Okay. Looks like there's one more here, and it's already out. Pretty good. Alright, so that's that side. No even consistency, and if I try the next, I'm not going to do it today. I'm going to call it a day because of my knee, but when I do the next one, I'm going to do the same process, but I'm going to try laying lock after lock after lock for a fair distance so that I can get the two styles of the tailspun and what that looks like as a comparison. I doubt very much I will ever knit with this. This is for, as I said, the passport, and I'm fine with having it around as a art yarn and, you know, something to look at now and then or whatever. Not really making this for utilitarian use. But anyway, that's, if you just came in, if you want, I recommend you go catch the video on demand later, so that you can hear exactly what I was doing if you just joined me, and watch that, because I did a lot of explaining and I'm learning. This is a new technique. I've done it once before, a very small sample. I'm doing this in a larger batch so that I have enough to submit for the passport. But that is going to show you the basic technique. Once you know the basic concept, it's just like practice and learning how to get them attached and how to handle setting that single with a steamer, and which is, I'm not going to show on the stream, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to steam this to set that, kind of moving the locks out of the way and catching the single, because there is not going to be anything plied with this now. It's going to be this way. So thank you, and I'm sorry to be cutting it short today. I am having technical difficulties. and I need the rest day tomorrow. I will not stream tomorrow. It is a rest day for the Tour de Fleece, and so I am not going to stream. I am going to rest my knee and hopefully be all back, all better. Let me get my full face here. All back, all better on Tuesday. And I don't know exactly where it's going to be. There's been raid trains, and I sure hope they don't do it on the day off. That wouldn't make sense to me, but I don't want to partake tomorrow. So, take care. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Have a good week coming up, and I will see you on Tuesday. Bye.